Chomsky's thought is very much in the rationalist tradition, hence his willingness to challenge the extreme empiricism of behaviorism. It can be argued that his contribution promoted a general shift away from a focus on the objective external world and back to interest in the structure and workings of the mind. His influence included the belief that the nature of our minds may be just as, or even more, responsible for the way we experience the everyday world than the uninterpreted material world. The number of sentences which human beings can produce and/or understand is in principle infinite. Consequently, these sentences could not possibly be learned individually. They must be generated as symbol strings from a far simpler set of powerful rules, analogous to the rules of algebra. Indeed, Chomsky has defined the task of linguistics as the discovery of a grammar, i.e., a set of rules that will generate all and only the correct sentences in a particular language. This powerful set of rules can be called a transformational grammar. This contains and applies the rules of syntax, which constitutes the basic deep level of language. A transformational grammar is equivalent to a Turing machine, which is capable in principle of computing any function, and therefore has maximum explanatory power. The representations in the mind are produced by the structure of the mind, and therefore have only a symbolic relationship with entities out in the world. Therefore, they don't have any necessary resemblance to or reflect the forms of the external world. It's possible for a sentence to be both grammatical and meaningless, as in Chomsky's famous example of a nonsensical but grammatically correct sentence. Colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Chomsky's radically rationalistic and mentalistic approach became a major part of the foundations of the cognitive revolution. In a very long-term and broad perspective, it can be claimed that the study of consciousness has followed a classic dialectical development, zigzagging between the rationalist and the empiricist traditions in science. Cartesianism, and maybe Platonism before it, was the rationalist thesis. Behaviorism was the extreme empiricist antithesis, and the cognitive revolution is the rationalist synthesis. In addition to modularity, Chomsky was committed to two other conceptions of the mind which added to this synthesis. The first was mentalism, which is the belief that it is the existence of abstract structures in the mind which makes knowledge possible. The second was nativism, the belief that much of our knowledge is universal and inborn and does not require teaching or learning. Such knowledge is accessible to us simply by virtue of being human.